Welcome everybody, I'm Rose Smith from AbsoluteSoulSecrets.com and I've got the March Horoscope Overview. There's a lot of planetary action happening this month, and we also have a lunar eclipse in Libra as well, and a few other things. I'm going to put on this video now so you'll have some decent visuals to look at and talk about what's going to happen for all of the star signs. So the first thing is that there's a couple of T-squares happening. Some star signs have both T-squares and others only have one. The thing about T-squares is, although they're challenging, they give you something to work with, so you're likely to get a result which can be successful at the end of it. If you put the effort in, you can actually pull off something pretty good if you work with it. So squares have a reputation of being difficult. It's not easy, but they are workable. So better than oppositions, I think. The first one I want to talk about involves Mars, Jupiter, and the Moon. And the second one also involves the Moon. So the thing about the Moon is that it travels really fast, and because of that, it's only going to form in this T-square for the first day of the month. It's literally hours. So if you've got anything particularly important, maybe just don't do it on the first. The only reason I include it is because it is the first. I think it starts the month. It's very difficult to recover from something if it starts something and it doesn't go well. So I think forewarned is forearmed. So the first one, Mars, Jupiter, and the Moon, brings a lot of energy and perhaps some impulsiveness. Do watch when you speak, for example, that you don't speak in an overly forceful way. Sometimes Mars can give your voice a sort of certain tone or certain force that people notice, but you don't mean it that way. So watch the tone and the loudness of your voice. With that one, if that involves your star sign, you'll know in a few days if it does, because I'll have those star sign videos up. The other T-square is Venus, Uranus, and the Moon. That could involve relationships or perhaps your financials, and it could be something unexpected or volatile could be happening around those areas, and it could be like a bolt out of the blue. Now we have the new moon, and it's in Pisces on the 10th, bringing new beginnings, probably of a spiritual nature or perhaps an emotional nature. And I guess on the 10th it's a good time just to go with your feelings. The lunar eclipse on the 25th of the month in Libra could involve your relationships. There's a bit of a shake-up there as to what area of your life these relationships are in, whether it's personal or business or any other area of your life. You'll know when you have a look at your horoscope, which will be up soon. Other things to note, that Mercury is in Aries on the 9th of the month, and this brings quite impulsive messages, but also flashes of brilliance. You might have some really intelligent thoughts that just appear in your mind. Mercury is also associated with like curiosity, so I would encourage you to really focus on your curiosity. Anything that makes you curious, follow it up. In Aries there's a fair amount of energy, and again it's this sort of theme of new beginnings because it's the first sign that starts the zodiac. Venus is in Pisces on the 11th. This is beautiful for your relationship. All relationships actually, doesn't matter what area of life. The only thing is Venus does also look after money, and sometimes she likes beautiful things or luxurious things, and she will encourage you to spend money, especially in Pisces. There might be things coming up from your emotions, or perhaps emotionally you spend money to help yourself feel better, like a shopaholic perhaps. So do watch for that. Venus wants you to spend money, so yeah, be cautious there. The Sun is in Aries from the 19th, bringing a sense of insight and awareness, perhaps even happiness. You could feel more comfortable. You might feel like taking risks that you wouldn't have taken before. You might become more comfortable with risk-taking behaviours. And again, with Venus in Pisces around the same time or slightly before, this could be related to your money supply, taking risks in the way that you invest or the way that you spend money. So do watch for that. We also have Mars in Pisces on the 22nd. Mars is not entirely happy in Pisces. Mars is quite a masculine focused planet. It wants to surge ahead. It wants to do things on its own terms, whereas Pisces is more go with the flow and more emotional. Mars just wants to get on and do what it wants to do. Then a couple of other things that are happening. If you're in the southern hemisphere, Australia or New Zealand, for example, we have the autumnal equinox on the 21st. Of course, if you're in the northern hemisphere, this is your spring equinox on the 21st. So the autumnal equinox is all about getting prepared, being organised, because it's not quite winter, so it's suggesting that you get everything in order and ready for the winter months. Fortunately, in Australia, we don't tend to have freezing cold winters unless you're down in Tasmania, which is quite cold. We have generally quite changeable winters where there might be sunny days, but it's still cold, especially in Melbourne town or Tasmania. But here where I am on the Gold Coast in Queensland, the winters are quite beautiful. In fact, probably around 20, 22 degrees, something like that. And so it's just saying, get some preparation done, get your house in order. Of course, if you're in the northern hemisphere in your spring equinox, this is a time to plant seeds, whether it's seeds in your garden or seeds within. Preparing your seeds and growing and tending these seeds, putting some nurturance and effort and energy into growth so that you can get a good harvest later on in the summertime. So working on a plan or a project or something like that so you can pull it off and complete it and really enjoy your harvest is what the equinox is about. It's a time of balancing all things and working with the seasons. The other thing that's happening is the last day of the month. It's Easter Sunday. I don't really want to get into the religiosity of Easter Sunday. It doesn't really matter what religion you are. I'm just looking at the overall spiritual symbology of Easter Sunday, which is all about rebirth and renewal. And so it's a time where you can be born again in some way. And this is particularly referring to the ego, or the top part of your mind, of what you think you want or who you think you are in the top part of your mind. If you think of the mind as like an iceberg, and the top part is the ego, but there's so much underneath the surface. So you may reinvent yourself in some way after Easter Sunday if you want to go with that energy. So that's the overview for March. Thank you so much for listening. If you find this helpful, please leave a like and a comment. That would be fabulous. As I said before, I'll get your star sign horoscopes out very shortly in the next week, but this gives you an idea of some of the energies that are coming forward in March. Have a wonderful month, everybody, and I'll see you all again soon. Thanks and bye for now.